Dr. Lisa Morgan had been serving with Delta Force for 3 years. In the operator's eyes, she was just the team's doctor, the woman who treated wounds, gave medicine, and sent letters home. But that day in Afghanistan, everything changed. When the enemy attack began, when she took off her sterile gloves and picked up a weapon, everyone froze. Because the woman who was just a doctor was actually never just a doctor. The field hospital at Bagram Air Base was quiet and orderly in the early morning hours. Dr. Lisa Morgan, 35 years old, medium height, with light brown hair pulled back in a practical bun, was a woman who had been serving as Delta Force's medical officer for 3 years, and had made herself indispensable during this time. Lisa's work style was flawless. She made the correct diagnosis for every wounded soldier and applied the most appropriate treatment. Her hands moved both gently and decisively. She could maintain her composure during surgery and never panicked even in the most stressful moments. But of course, the operators only saw her as a doctor. Captain Mark Stevens, commander of Delta Force Team Charlie, valued Lisa greatly, but only for her medical skills. His team had 6 elite operators: Sergeant First Class Rodriguez, Sergeant Martinez, Specialist Davis, Specialist Thompson, Specialist Wilson, and Specialist Jackson. They all respected Lisa, but they saw her as someone who needed protection. "Doc, you'll stay on base during today's operation," Stevens said during the morning briefing. "When we go down to the village, you'll wait in the helicopter, at a safe distance." Lisa nodded. "Understood, Commander. If there are casualties, we'll call you. Until then, stay in waiting position." This routine was ordinary for Lisa. It had always been this way for 3 years. The operators fought, she waited. If there were casualties, she intervened. Otherwise, she stayed in the background. Rodriguez approached her. "Doc, don't worry. Today's a simple mission. We're just catching some arms smugglers and coming back." "Be careful," Lisa said. "According to the latest intelligence, they have heavy weapons." Martinez laughed. "Don't worry, Doc. We're Delta Force. They're just smugglers." Davis added, "Just keep your medical kit ready. Hopefully, we won't need you today." Lisa smiled. "I hope so, too." At 2 o'clock in the afternoon, the Black Hawk helicopter took off. Lisa sat in the back seat, her medical kit beside her, listening to the operation on the radio. The target village was 30 kilometers away. According to intelligence, large quantities of weapons were stored there. "Target in sight," Stevens's voice came over the radio. "Everything looks quiet." The helicopter landed 1 kilometer outside the village. The operators got out. Lisa stayed inside. She would wait with Pilot Johnson. "Same as always, waiting time," Johnson said. "Yes, I hope it doesn't take long." Half an hour passed. There were only routine reports on the radio. "House-to-house search continues. Haven't found anything yet." Then everything changed. "Contact! Contact!" Stevens' voice sounded panicked. "We're ambushed. Heavy enemy fire." "How many?" Lisa asked. "I don't know. At least 20. They have RPGs." Gunfire could be heard over the radio. Explosion sounds, screams. "Rodriguez is hit." Lisa's heart raced. "How bad?" "I don't know. He can't move." Johnson started the helicopter engine. "We have to go, Doc." "No, we'll wait until we get them." "Wilson's hit too." There was desperation in Stevens' voice. "We have 2 wounded. We're surrounded." Lisa took the radio. "Stevens, what's your situation?" "Doc, we're pinned down in houses on the south side of the village. Our exit route is cut. Rodriguez and Wilson are seriously wounded." "Give me your coordinates." "GPS 34.52, 69.18, but don't come. Too dangerous." Lisa turned to Johnson. Take me there. Doc, no. They'll shoot down the helicopter. Those men will die. Take me. Johnson was hesitant. What does Stevens say? Lisa opened the radio. Stevens, is there a safe place to land? Doc, no. Don't come, they have RPGs. Just tell me the landing site. Long silence. Then, there's a small area north of the village, but very risky. Johnson sighed. Okay, Doc, but we'll be fast. The helicopter took off. Lisa checked her medical kit. Serum, bandages, morphine, surgical instruments. Everything was in place. As they approached the village, the situation was clear. Heavy gunfire was coming from houses on the south side of the village. The operators were trapped. Doc! Stevens's voice. Situation got worse. Martinez is hit too. 3 wounded. Lisa's heart was in her mouth. The helicopter landed in the small area. Lisa grabbed her kit and started running. Johnson shouted after her, Doc, 5 minutes, then I'm taking off. Lisa ran into the village. Gunfire was very close. When she turned the corner, she saw the operators. Stevens, Davis, and Thompson were pinned behind a house. Rodriguez was on the ground, not moving. Wilson was leaning against the wall, pressing his hand to his arm. Martinez was shot in the leg. Doc. Stevens was surprised. What are you doing here? Doing my job. Lisa ran to Rodriguez. When she started examining Rodriguez, the situation was bad. He was shot in the chest. His lung was punctured. If she didn't intervene immediately, he would die. Stevens, we have to carry Rodriguez to the helicopter. Doc, we have no exit route. They've surrounded us. Lisa looked around. Enemy fire was coming from 3 directions. From the south, east, and west sides of the village. The north side was open, but they needed to reach the helicopter from there too. How many enemies are there? At least 25, and they have heavy weapons. At that moment, enemy fire intensified. Bullets were hitting the walls, ricocheting around them. Thompson, Stevens shouted. How much ammo do we have left? Little. It'll run out in minutes. While Lisa was connecting a serum to Rodriguez, she understood the seriousness of the situation. There were 3 wounded, and the enemy had superiority. They couldn't get out like this. Stevens, give me one of your weapons. What? Doc, you're a doctor. Stevens, give me a weapon. Stevens was hesitant, but Lisa's tone was serious. He pulled out his sidearm from his holster. Take it, but only for self-defense. Lisa took the weapon. She felt its weight, a familiar feeling. After 3 years, she had a weapon in her hand again. Davis, bring Wilson and Martinez here. I'll take care of Rodriguez. Davis looked at her in confusion, but followed the order. They gathered the 3 wounded in one place. While Lisa quickly closed Rodriguez's wound, she was forming a plan in her mind. Enemy positions, exit route, time calculation. Stevens, which directions is enemy fire coming from? South, east, and west, but the heaviest is from the south. Thompson, how long will your ammo last? Maybe 5 minutes. Lisa temporarily bandaged Rodriguez's wound. Stevens, I'm going to tell you something, but don't be shocked. What? Lisa straightened up, checked her weapon. I'm not just a doctor. What do you mean? Special Operations Medical Officer, former Force Recon, 8 years in the battlefield before studying medicine. Stevens's mouth dropped open. Are you a warrior? I was. Now I'm both. Davis couldn't believe it. Doc, you never mentioned this. There was no need, but now there is. Lisa took a small box from her kit. Inside was a miniature radio. Johnson! Johnson, can you hear me? Doc, where are you? It's been too long. Listen carefully. Fly low over the south side of the village. Draw enemy attention to you. What? Doc, that's very dangerous. Just 2 minutes. Then get away immediately. Stevens intervened. Doc, what are you doing? Distraction. While Johnson flies, I'll neutralize the enemies on the south side. You? Alone? Lisa quickly applied a dressing to Martinez's wound. Stevens, you and your team will carry the wounded to the helicopter. I'll provide rear guard. Doc, this is too risky. Stevens. Lisa looked directly at him. These men will die. I'm both a doctor and an operator. I'll do both. Thompson looked at her in amazement. Doc, do you really have combat experience? 8 years. Iraq, Afghanistan. Classified operations. At that moment, Johnson's voice came. Doc, ready? When do we start? Now. Pass low over the south side. The sound of the Black Hawk approached. As the helicopter passed over the village, enemy fire really did turn to the helicopter. Now! Lisa started running. Stevens shouted after her, Doc, where are you going? Lisa didn't answer. She was running toward the houses on the south side. Her weapon was ready. When she approached the first house, 3 enemies came out from inside. When they saw Lisa, they started to turn their weapons, but Lisa was faster. 3 shots, 3 targets, 3 seconds. Stevens was shouting over the radio, Doc, what's happening? South side being cleared. Lisa moved to the second house. This house was more complex. There were 5 enemies. Lisa entered from the back of the house. No one saw her. She systematically neutralized each one. South side clear. Lisa spoke into her radio. Start carrying the wounded. Stevens was still in shock, but followed the order. Davis and Thompson started lifting the wounded. Lisa moved to the third house. This was also cleared. All enemy fire from the south side had stopped. Johnson, get ready for landing. Doc, how did you do this? I'll explain later. Land now. The helicopter landed. The operators started carrying the wounded. They took Rodriguez first, then Wilson and Martinez. Lisa checked the surroundings one last time. There was still sporadic fire from the east and west, but the main threat was over. Come on, Stevens shouted. Let's board. Lisa ran to the helicopter. Everyone had boarded. Johnson immediately took off. As the helicopter climbed, Stevens looked at Lisa. Doc, what was that? Lisa had opened her medical kit and was checking Rodriguez's serum connection. What matters now are the wounded. Talk later. But Thompson persisted. Doc, were you a warrior for 8 years? Force recon. Then I studied medicine. I learned to do both. Davis couldn't believe it. Why didn't you ever tell us? Because there was no need. I'm a doctor here. My warrior past is a personal matter. Rodriguez opened his eyes. In a weak voice. Doc? Did you save us? Number? The team saved us. I just helped. Martinez asked, Doc, can you really shoot that well? When necessary. Wilson added, but you're always so gentle, so soft. Lisa smiled. Wilson, you need to be soft to be a doctor. You need to be hard to be a warrior. I learned both. Stevens was thoughtful. Doc, why did you study medicine? You could have stayed in Force Recon. Lisa checked Rodriguez's pulse. Because I had seen enough death. I wanted to learn to save lives. And now you do both, when necessary. Today it was necessary. The helicopter was approaching Bagram Base. Lisa was checking the condition of the wounded. Rodriguez seemed stable. Wilson and Martinez's conditions were also good. "Doc," Stevens said, "we'll discuss this in the team meeting. We'll need to evaluate you differently now." "Stevens, I'm still the team's doctor. This won't change." "But now we know you're not just a doctor." Lisa nodded. "Yes, I'm Dr. Lisa Morgan, and when necessary, I'm also former Force Recon Sergeant Lisa Morgan." When they arrived at the base hospital, Lisa immediately organized the surgical team. They took Rodriguez to surgery. The other wounded were also taken into treatment. 2 hours later, the surgery was successfully completed. As Lisa was taking off her surgical gown, Stevens was waiting. "Doc, can we talk?" "Sure." They sat in the cafeteria. Stevens seemed serious. "Doc, you saved our lives today, but why did you never tell us this?" Lisa stirred her coffee. "Stevens, I came here to be a doctor. My past would stay in the past. But your Force Recon experience, this is very valuable. And so is my medical degree. I combined both." Stevens nodded. "From now on, we'll need to include you in operations differently." "No, Stevens. I'm still a doctor. My warrior identity is only for emergencies." "But, Doc..." "Stevens." Lisa looked at him. "I learned to resurrect dead people. I also know how to kill living people. I'll do both when necessary, but my priority is always saving lives." Stevens understood. "Okay, Doc, however you want it." The next day, the Delta Force team looked at Lisa with different eyes. She was no longer just a doctor who needed protection. She was a doctor who could protect. Rodriguez came to Lisa. "Doc, thank you." "You're welcome, Rodriguez. It's my job." "Which job? Being a doctor or saving us?" Lisa smiled. "Both, Rodriguez. Both. Because sometimes the strongest warrior is the one who has learned both to give life and to take it." 2 years later, the first team graduated from Lisa's training program, served in a critical operation in Syria. 3 doctor-operators both treated the wounded and protected the team. The operation was a complete success. Lisa smiled with pride when she received this news in her office at the Pentagon. She looked at the photo on her desk. The last picture taken with her old Delta Force team. Stevens, Rodriguez, Martinez, Wilson. They were all there. That evening, her phone rang. There was a message from Rodriguez. "Doc, we have a doctor-operator from your program on our new mission team. Excellent. What you taught us is very useful. Thank you." Lisa smiled and replied, "Rodriguez, don't thank me. Just keep using what you learned." A few minutes later, a message came from Stevens, too. "Lisa, I heard from the Pentagon. Your program will be expanded to NATO countries, too. Congratulations." Lisa put the phone on the table and thought. 3 years ago, she was just a Delta Force doctor. Now, she was training a new generation of warrior medics. The next morning at the training center, the words she told her new students had become legendary. "Remember, your primary mission is to save lives. But sometimes, you need to fight to save lives." And so, Dr. Lisa Morgan's story continued. She was no longer fighting and healing just for herself, but for future generations. Because true strength is being able to teach your own strength to others. 5 years later, in a remote hospital in eastern Afghanistan, a young medic named Sarah treated a wounded soldier. When enemy fire suddenly erupted around the hospital, she didn't hesitate. She picked up her weapon with one hand, held her medical kit with the other. The wounded soldier looked at her in amazement. "How do you do both?" Sarah smiled. A doctor named Lisa taught me. She said sometimes you have to fight to save lives. And so, Dr. Lisa Morgan's legacy lived on. Not in medals or records, but in every life saved by those she had trained. Because the greatest victory is not what you accomplish yourself, but what you enable others to accomplish.